Okay, this is going to be a stream of consciousness kind of video, like as if mine usually aren't. I think they always are. But this one is going to be about where a person places themselves, when people place themselves on some like imaginary totem pole. Now, the totem pole, the way I was taught, was that like the highest level, the top of the totem pole, is the highest level in that community or tribe or whatever it was. And then there's middle and lower, okay? As a sociologist, I don't like to use upper, middle, lower, but I think people can relate to that. You know, understand it easier. Pardon me, I've been walking. Okay. But in this video, it's about where people place themselves on that imaginary totem pole. And, you know, like they group themselves in a community. It could be an online community, it can be an offline community, a reality life, reality kind of situation. Face-to-face, there's a word, there's a term. That how they place themselves as in comparison to the others, or are they in this little clique, whatever you want to call it, group, clique, whatever. This level, you know, upper, lower, middle, where do they place themselves? Now, my personal opinion is, of what I have noticed in life, and quite a bit of education behind it, is that people will place themselves higher than they actually are, okay? And it does depend on what kind of person they are, too. Now, some people who were victims of narcissistic abuse, they might have themselves so low because they have been treated to where they were so low. But some might have a reaction to place themselves higher. Okay, it might not ever be where they really are, but do we really know? The thing about that is what are you basing it on? Okay, there's one. What are you basing it on, and who are you basing it on? Whose opinion? Okay, and what you're getting back through the looking glass self. It depends on a lot of things, really. But I really do think that humans place themselves tend to higher than they are on however they're going to measure it. And that is an important part, is how they are measuring it. Okay, as many do, they base it on wealth or lack thereof. Okay, upper class is the wealthy people. Middle class, they're just in the middle, and then the lower class, poverty, or just above. But like I said, I don't like to do it that way. But that's really not what it's about, okay? It's really not just all that it's about. And it depends on what kind. I mean, I could go into great detail with this. I used to teach, this topic, but sociology. But yeah, where you place yourself depends a lot on what do you personally find valuable. Now, for me, I was an educator. I can't say was. I am an educator. This is not an educational video, though. But I would place a high, degree of importance on education. And that does not have to be, like in college or university, formal education. It could be a training, a skill, anything along that line that somebody has learned from others who are I don't use expert, nobody's an expert these days, others who are trained in that too, who are trained and qualified, or they have done their homework, basically, let's put it that way. Okay, now that would be mine. I would say education's high on up, way high up there. Enlighten yourself on any topic that is of importance to you. Okay, now some people, nope, they don't see it that way. But before I go on, a person, I learned this back in my college, university days, that a person who is educated, is degreed, whether or not they have a job, they are always considered middle class, at least middle class. Now, if they have a job, they can be higher, but they will never go lower because of the earning potential. And I remember hearing that by a professor, and I think it was even in the textbook. So it's, got some research behind it. And I thought, really now, you can be poor, but because of your earning potential, you're still classified as middle class. So think about that in this whole conversation. Think about it, with that in mind. But there are so many things that people will judge by, where they're going to see themselves as part of the elite class, and others as not. Now, you can just look on YouTube and look at all the different kinds of communities and see, even within those communities, many of them will think that their community itself is, there's a kind of a collective narcissism that is better than the other communities. But within each community, you'll see people who think that they are higher up than the other ones in that community. Upper, lower, middle. They place them in some way. And some of it is based on their financial situation, and some of it is on their education in whatever that is, their skill or education. Like I said, beauty, on how good they are at putting in their makeup on, their music on, their makeup on. How they look once they do. Okay, that's a skill. Or people who, are frugal. Okay, and how they know some tips and tricks, that people can use to not spend so much money, to save money. Okay, so people can place themselves in that community. Then they can generalize it over to other things, other areas of arenas in life. Yeah. So I've got a lot more to talk about on this topic, but you know what? I think it's getting kind of long, and I'm also running out of space on my camera. So I'm just going to give this as a little intro, preface. But what do you think? How do you see it? Leave a comment below. And if it comes up, I'm not thinking they do, but if you want to subscribe to this channel, click the circle. If you want to watch another video on this channel, click one of the rectangles, like, subscribe, comment, and share, if you would. And I'm going to talk to you in a video soon if I don't lose my voice totally. You hear it, right? All right. Talk to you later.